Hello, Mary McElhatton here with Permission Mission, bridging the gap between life and loss, promising value to both. People talk to me often about, Mary, you talk about death and dying quite a bit. How do you even bring it up? Like, how would I bring it up? My kids don't want to talk about it. It's depressing. Uh, if we talk about it, it might promote it to happen. I want to just make sure to tell you that there's no way to promote this and there's no way to delay it unless we're doing crazy things like driving 150 miles down the highway or jumping off without a bungee cord. So, where do we start? Well, we start by clearing up the myths. Let's talk a little bit about what the myths are around death and dying. Biggest myth I know for a fact is the one from that my mom cleared up many times, many years ago after losing 3 of her own children. I remember one day hearing her when someone had said to her, it shouldn't happen how did this happen? It shouldn't have happened. Your children are supposed to outlive you. And she just looked this person straight in the face, straight in the eyes and said, that's not true. My children were called and will all be called accordingly, and that's just how it's going to go. And I remember really hearing that, but not really processing it, of course, until many years later. And a part of that reason of why I do this today is because of that day. My mom didn't do anything wrong. My parents did nothing wrong for those things to take place. And I know that that myth is a myth. It's not true. Children do not always outlive their parents. In some cases, they go before. And I want every person to have permission to go when it is their time to go. The other myth is that it only happens to old people. It only happens to sick people. I want to take that back. Not old people. I'm going to say vintage. Now, I'm vintage. Over 50 is vintage. So it happens only to vintage people. It happens to people who are just being crazy out there in the world doing silly stuff. The myth is that if you don't talk about it, it won't happen. The myth is that you can make up your own. I know that there are many other ones, but the important part here is just to understand that we've got to clear these myths up and make sure that we're openly talking with our families when we have the chance. I would have never thought that talking with my father for 3 months before he passed away would be one of the absolute benchmarks in my life, in the top benchmark in my life, as being a pivotal moment, a pivotal point in time that both my father had his greatest life in 3 months before he left this planet, and myself understanding that to talk about it is okay. He gave permission for his loss and our loss. He gave permission for his life, and it wasn't about his death. It was about planning his life just right. He had messages for his kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, even great-great-grandchildren not born yet. Now, that's him. In some cases, people don't have that opportunity to do that. Sudden death does occur, and that's also why I want Permission Mission to be a brilliant venue for all of us to come and openly discuss what's on our mind and what kind of myths you're working through and how I can help and how we can help each other. It doesn't make sense to me when the majority of the world that we need on our side is the ones not talking about it. We're typically in groups, and I love groups. I love grief groups. I do. But the people I'm around the most are the ones that I need to be talking with. And I want this, way of keeping it silent is just not serving anyone anymore. We have so many reasons that we want to have permission to go, mainly because we lived a good life. And again, just making sure that we're just planning it right for the end. So where I want you to start is with yourself. Make sure that you're telling yourself that there is no miss, and one day you'll have your day. Plan it right. Do something fun around it. If you get the chance to plan it ahead of time, it could be a beautiful event, just like all the other events in life that we do. So start with yourself, then talk with your family. If you have any suggestions or you want to share something that's on your mind, please do. Share a note. Please subscribe, like. I want to make sure that we keep this venue open so that we can openly talk about life and loss. Thank you.